Hyundai's Azera is back, though I doubt many of you remember the previous generation. I mean, this is a whole new car. It's bigger, more luxurious, and dangerously close to stepping on the toes of Hyundai's other big sedan, the Genesis V6. What's Hyundai up to here? I mean, is there really room in its lineup for two big Luxo barges? Let's take a look at this 2012 fully loaded Hyundai Azera and try to find out. Now the Azera is only a little bit smaller than its bigger sibling, the Genesis, about 3 inches shorter from nose to tail and about 3 inches narrower. I also like how this front headlight kind of joins this bit of chrome trim and runs all the way down the side of the vehicle, almost to the back. While I'm back here, let me just point out that the Azera's trunk is actually a little bit bigger than the Genesis's, thanks in part to its front-wheel drive architecture. Now otherwise, these cars basically trade blows with interior dimensions. They're about the same size, more or less. Let's check out the engine room. Now, as I mentioned before, the front-wheel drive Azera is a puller, not a pusher like the rear-wheel drive Genesis. The Genesis is also up 40 horsepower and about half a liter of displacement over the Azera's 3.3-liter V6 that outputs 293 horsepower. Now, this is a brand new engine for Hyundai, and it's no slouch in and of itself. Direct injection gets it 255 pound-feet of torque at the meatiest part of its curve, and an EPA estimated 20 miles per gallon in the city and 29 miles per gallon on the highway. Of course, the Azera is also $2,000 to $3,000 cheaper than the Genesis, depending on how you spec it, and it's got 6 cup holders versus the Genesis's 4. Now, speaking of cup holders, let's take a look inside of this cabin here. Now, if you've seen one Hyundai, you've basically seen them all. This is an automaker that's made its career out of reusing and recycling its tech and making cheap materials look much more expensive than they actually are. Now, the Azera's basic infotainment system is pretty much the standard fare Hyundai infotainment system that we've seen in all of its cars before now. You've got navigation here with traffic. You've got the ability to do Bluetooth hands-free calling and audio streaming. Down here at the bottom, you've got a USB port and an auxiliary input that can be bridged with a $35 cable to form a high-speed iPod connection. Up here at the top, we've got the BlueLink button. BlueLink is basically Hyundai's telematics service. You push this button and you can ask BlueLink to get you directions to a destination, the nearest fuel prices. You can have it send a text message to your friends to let you know where you're going and when you'll be there. You can have it send a text message to you to let you know if your car's gone somewhere without your permission. Now, making this spacious cabin feel even more airy is this right here, a full-length panoramic moonroof. This thing lifts and slides back, pretty much giving you a huge view of the sky above you and making this cabin feel a lot more light and airy. Now, that's part of a $4,000 technology option that you definitely want because, I mean, basically, look at it, it's cool. So this is the 2012 Hyundai Azera. It's really comfortable. There's a lot to like about this thing. Quiet cabin when you're cruising around at city speeds, and it's not too much louder at highway speeds. 2 basic drive modes. The first is the standard. Pedal travel is what it is. It's pretty much your car at its default state. Now, there's also a second mode called Active Eco. Now, the active part of Active Eco comes into play in that what's happening is that your pedal travel has actually been remapped. So half throttle isn't exactly half throttle anymore. It's actually a little less. That gives the car sort of an illusion of you having a lighter pedal foot than you actually have. Regardless of whether Active Eco is on or not, the biggest detriment to this car's performance is probably going to be the 6-speed automatic transmission. Now, it's not an offensive gearbox. The problem is that if you're looking for sporting driving in a car like this, you're not going to get it unless you wait for it because like most automatic transmissions on the road today, this gearbox is basically short shifting every gear so that you get the most fuel economy by keeping your revs as low as possible. That's not good for power. It is good at the pump. Hyundai makes it easy to spec your 2012 Azera, or difficult if you don't like their all-or-nothing technology option. It's basically $32,000 base and $4,000 for that technology package if you want the big sunroof and the better stereo system.